All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsman. As always, Mikey V. As always, Joseph Peter DeMar. As always, myself, Neil Arnett. Boys, we're back. Football's back. We got a lot to talk about finally for the first time in what feels like a long time. But let's just get rolling with college football. Week 1 in the books. Well, minus this Florida State game. Or no, their week 1 was that first game against Georgia Tech, which ended up being a pretty
Yeah,
damn
this
good
is this
game.
is week 1 for Boston College. This is
Yeah.
still week 1 technically for Florida State, but their second game, obviously.
Did the first game not count then, Michael? Or
No, it counts. No, it counts. It's just week 0. A lot of this is just the extra game for them. Boston College, their first game. So Tallahassee.
Yeah, we just started talking just before we started the episode about LSU and all that, and we'll get into that. But Florida State seems like another one of those teams that just struggles early on, getting a clean start-off jump to the season. It seems like every time they're hyped up in a top 10 spot, something happens. But, gentlemen, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with LSU and USC? Do we want to start with any other games? I'll let you have the floor.
I think you could start, right at the top 5, because the top 5 pretty much was blowout,
Georgia, man.
Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Alabama blew out their opponents. It took a while for Clemson. Took a while for Georgia to get rolling first half. They were dominant, held Clemson to 2 first downs in the first half, but they just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Offense looked a little out of sync, and then in the second half, domination. Ohio State, same thing. Only led 17-3 against Akron at home, and then put up 40-something points or 39 points in the second half, 52-6. Texas, 52-0. Alabama 63-0.
Oh, my God. They look good.
So all the top dogs except Oregon. Oregon at home against Idaho only won that game by 10 points. It was a 14-7 game going into the fourth quarter. Idaho played them in Oregon as tough as you could play them. And again, I think fans of these top 5 teams, and I know myself included, like you get spoiled and you expect your team to come out when it's an Ohio State and an Oregon and they're playing a lesser opponent, and you just expect the offense to just right out of the gates, just go right down the field for a touchdown. And in this era of college football, with all the new transfer portal rules and the NIL rules and all the new pieces that are around these teams, it's going to take some of these teams a little while to like get in a complete rhythm and groove. And I think you saw in the second half of those games, obviously now Texas, Bama right out of the gates, but Georgia, Ohio State, it took them a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It took them a little bit of time. And
it's the first game of the season,
that's
right?
That's right.
I think, first game of the season, there's a lot of feeling out, new quarterbacks, some of these teams, new quarterbacks, new system, probably same systems, but it takes a little bit of time. And, I agree with Mikey. I think the top 5 teams still are going to be the top 5 teams. Couple of new teams up there. Miami out of nowhere. Now, I don't want to jump the gun too much, but man,
team.
They look
good team.
And you want to talk about a quarterback who looked good. My God, this Cam Ward, he looked unbelievable. He looked.
Miami as expected. Listen, I was telling Bob's a big Miami fan. I was telling him I think this is the best Miami team that they've had in a long time. Cam Ward is the real deal, but their roster, the defensive line, the offensive line, they're
good on both sides of the ball.
Roster, really good roster. Ole Miss 76-0. I know it was against Furman, but Jackson Dart and Ole Miss are going to be very, very tough. That's a top SEC team in my eyes this year. Bama, Georgia, obviously, and Ole Miss for the SEC this year.
I also thought Notre Dame looked impressive. I thought
Penn State
is another team that looks like they're on the up and coming. So it's kind of cool because the brides who've always been at the wedding before, they're still going to be there. The top 5 darlings are still going to be there. But you got some teams. I know, Tick, you're hot on Penn State. They look really good. Notre Dame looked really good. And Miami came out of nowhere. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, you don't want to take too much out of 1 week, right? Because it's just the first week. But, interesting play. And I tell you what, it was just great just to scroll through and see game after game after game on TV. And my God, it was unbelievable.
Arizona was another one that looked pretty good too, I thought. But beyond that, what you guys were touching on earlier, I find it very interesting because with the transfer portal the way that it is now, it seems more important than ever to have those tune-up games. And back in the day, it was a little frustrating. Like, does Alabama really need to start with Appalachian State or some loser. But now with what you've just mentioned, that they really do kind of need to feel out some of these new players coming in. It seems like a brand new team every year beyond just the new freshmen coming in and the seniors going out. So wouldn't you think that an LSU or a USC or some of these other teams that played top 25 teams right out of the bat, like why not do these tune-up games and just get your shit figured out by week 1 and kind of have an idea how the team's going to play and feel?
It's a good
Yeah,
question.
a lot of these out of conference schedules though get scheduled so far in advance. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I remember when, you know, you could look at Ohio State's out of conference schedule and you could see 8 years down the road that they're scheduled to play a home and away against Texas. They were scheduled to play a home and away against Notre Dame. Like some of these games are just scheduled so far in advance. And at the time when they schedule them, it looks like it could potentially be like a top 5 matchup. And then by the time, you know, 5-6 years down the road, one of the programs dies back a little bit.
Right.
Example, 2010, Ohio State was on a tail end of a home and away against Miami. And at the time that game was scheduled, Miami was the cream of the football crop. But by 2010, Jacoby Harris was the quarterback there. They had taken a step back significantly from where they were. Or Ja'Cory Harris, I think his name was. But that's what happens with those schedules. So I think it's kind of out of their control to a certain extent, Tick. But certainly, I think moving forward, it is going to be critical because, like you said, you have all these guys who, yes, they're talented guys. They're very highly touted out of high school, but that doesn't mean that you have any type of semblance of chemistry yet when you actually step on the field and have to put it all together. So I think that's something that they're going to have to take into consideration because
how far in advance are they booking these games? Like
book
3
them
years?
out of conference. They could book them years in advance. Yeah.
My goodness.
Because it's all like contractual agreements between the schools. The only thing I'll say now, Tick, is that you have a lot of play and a lot of grace that you didn't have during the 14 playoff. So now it's not a death sentence to lose a game. It's not anymore. You could lose a game.
Yeah.
Shit, you could lose 2 games if you're able to really turn it around.
Well, because there's 12 teams, right? So
right, exactly. So it's not the death sentence that it used to be. In college football, we all know, like every week it was like, if you lose past the month of October, if you lose in November in college football and you're a top team, there's a very real chance that you may not make the playoff, even if you were undefeated before that game, because one loss is just a late loss. They always said,
but even still,
early.
Mikey,
lose early.
A team like Florida State now, after losing to Georgia Tech, like they're going to have to win.
They'd have to run the table.
Almost. They might be able to lose 1 game 10 weeks from now, but they're going to have to win the next 10, 11 games. Like they're going to have to go on a run, on a tear.
Yep.
So like, I agree with you. It's not a death sentence, but it's still vital with some of these other teams.
Absolutely.
Chomping up at the bit that you can't drop games to opponents that are considered lesser than you in the rankings. Cause Georgia Tech's not going to be a team that's going to be vying for a playoff spot. For them to beat Florida State, that's a big upset.
Yeah, it is. And for a team like Notre Dame, I look at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame went on the road in a tough place, the 12th man, Kyle Field, Texas A&M. That's a tough spot. Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, the transfer quarterback from Duke, is there this year. I loved him when he was at Duke. I thought he was a gamer. That's a great win for them. Here's the issue with Notre Dame, and it's going to be an issue as long as they stay independent. They will never, as the rules stand today, they will never be eligible for a bye. They'll never be eligible for a bye in the college football playoff. They could run the table every year, not lose a game, and they will never have a bye because they don't play in a conference championship game. The top 4 seeds that get a bye are the top 4 Power 5 conference champions with the best record. So for Notre Dame, they could you imagine they go undefeated and they don't get a bye, and you got teams with possibly a loss or maybe even 2 losses that are top 4 seeds that have the bye in front of them, all because they want to stay independent?
Why do they want to do that though, Mike?
It's
what
all
do they gain
contractual money. They don't have to share any revenue
and TV money.
The TV money, they don't have to share anything. So
they have a deal with what ABC is it?
NBC. Had that deal for years now. But yeah, it's just crazy. And seeing some of these teams, like watching USC play with the Big Ten patch on their uniform last night was like a wild thing to see. Looking at Texas with the SEC logo on the field and Oklahoma with it's just, I mean, the realignment's crazy, man. It's crazy. And Texas, I mean, Texas is going to be tough. Texas, Michigan next week is going to be a tremendous game. Michigan did not look great against Fresno at home. That's going to be,
by the way, the spread was 21. They won by 20. But
Yes.
if you watch the first half, they were barely winning, Mike.
Well,
They were
again,
struggling.
you got a new head coach. You lost your quarterback. You lost a lot of guys to the NFL. Another team that I think it's just going to take some time for them to gel. You know what I mean? And
as an Ohio State fan, though, you got to be happy to see that they didn't come out of the gates firing.
I'll know a lot about what that team is after they play Texas next week. And I'm not saying if they lose to Texas, but they lose a close game and it looks like they really battled and they hung.
Where's the game?
It's in Michigan. It's in Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game.
House.
It's going to be a great game. Well, I would think it could be a great game, but Texas, Quinn Ewers looked like a Heisman finalist.
By the way, Texas
last
went in Alabama last year and won, so it's not like that they can't go into
Texas is a good team, man.
No,
Texas
but I'm saying is they could definitely go into a tough, hostile environment and come out with a win, no problem.
Absolutely. They're one of the more talented teams in the country. I mean, they're a top 4 team for a reason. Ewers is a Heisman favorite for a reason. They have speed everywhere, well coached. I love Sark. I think he's a great coach. That's going to be, I hope it's a great game. I hope it turns out to be a great game, but certainly if you looked at it from their performances on Saturday, you'd say, well, Texas is right where they need to be, and Michigan has a lot of work to do. So, again, but Ohio State, same thing. I'm not going to let them off the hook. The first half against Akron, defensively, Ohio State was outstanding, but offensively, they got things to figure out also. So, everybody, except, like we said, Bama, Ole Miss, these teams just rolled. But
yeah, well, let's get into that LSU USC game before we move over to NFL, because that was a wild finish last night. That was one of the better games, I think, of week 1 that I had seen. At least.
It was.
Yeah, and then just let's get into the press conference with Brian Kelly afterwards. I mean, what'd you guys make of the whole fucking thing?
Clown. I mean, Brian Kelly has lost his last 3 openers in a row. I gave out LSU last night. I was confident in LSU. I thought LSU in the trenches was their offensive line. You saw in the third quarter when they started running the ball to 22, the senior running back who had tore his ACL, I think last year, he had a serious injury. They started leaning on USC, and they were grinding them with the run, but they could not get out of their own way with these penalties. Every play, an LSU kid was jawing at a USC kid after every single play. I understand being intense after big time plays, and you're passionate and you're showing your emotion, but it cost them dearly after the one touchdown where the kid got flagged for the unsportsmanlike, where he pointed a fake gun at one of the USC players. And then, of course, you had Branch, who's the most electrifying return man in college football for USC. He returned the ball, almost scored a touchdown. That penalty completely altered the course of the game. The pass interferences, the undisciplined, just LSU was so undisciplined. And then to have the gall as the head coach to pound the table at the podium after the game is over and try. And yeah, at the very end, he finally threw I'm not doing a good enough job as a coach. But at that point, you had already said all I needed to hear. You're blaming the players for it, and that they think the game's over. Like, that's all on you. That's all on you. You fixed nothing. It's the same old story. LSU defense couldn't stop a nosebleed at the end of that game. USC went all over him. Good for Moss. He looked great. I thought the quarterback for LSU looked great too.
Yeah, he did.
Very similar teams. I said this to Joe before the game started. Very similar teams replacing Heisman Trophy winners. New quarterbacks, bad defenses from a year ago. Who was going to clean it up a little bit more? And USC had it more when it counted. They were more disciplined, and it won them the game because LSU was penalized. It seemed like almost every other play LSU was getting a penalty.
It felt like to me that LSU was just going to win. It just felt like it, like the missed 29-yard field goal before half. Like all these things were playing into. I agree with the penalties, but everything, even when they went down on that last drive, I thought they were going to score a touchdown and put it out of and really win the game. And I think that's what Kelly is upset about. And again, I said this before. I think him, Lincoln Riley, some of these coaches are just way overpaid. He's got all these antics, the fake, remember he did the fake accent, and now the pounding of the table. I mean, the guy is full of antics, but I just
he's full of shit is what he is.
But full of shit. But watching the game, Mikey, it felt like as a viewer that LSU was going to win. It just felt like they were going to come up, and then they just fell short.
In the third
and then to give up a touchdown when you know they're going to run the ball. Like,
Yeah.
even if you could hold them to a
Well,
field goal.
that's a problem. Yeah. When you know what's coming and you still can't stop it, that's a problem. That's a very big problem. And again, in the third quarter, I thought they took all the momentum, and I felt that way. But penalties, again, they just couldn't help them. And Lincoln Riley on the flip side, that clock management to end the first half was some of the worst clock management. You have a first down very close to the end zone. It's not like you're 30 yards away. 9 seconds with a timeout left. Why does Lincoln Riley not let this kid take a shot at the end zone? I mean, he let 30 seconds just completely bleed off the clock when they were at midfield before he called his timeout. Lincoln Riley too, man, like the clock management it was just really, I didn't think it was great coaching on either side. But the difference is that Brian Kelly's team is like just completely out of control. Like they just do whatever the fuck they want to do. And he's just there, and he like just has that same blank stare on his face. And then he wants to pound the table in the post-game interview. It's just a bad look for LSU, bad look for Brian Kelly. And honestly, it ends up being a marquee win for a USC team that was much maligned last year.
Yeah.
With a defense that now under the new D coordinator from UCLA, this guy Lynn that they brought in, who did a great job at UCLA, looks like at least a competitive enough defense if the offense is going to be that explosive. And they have some explosive guys on that offense.
Defense couldn't have been worse last year. So
already
a huge.
It had to be an improvement.
The thing about Brian Kelly, though, is like in the NFL, they'll often pick and choose. Are we going to blame the quarterback, or are we going to blame the head coach on why these teams can't finish games? But if you look at Brian Kelly, the last 3 years, openers lost. It's like he's the through line of that team. There's no one else to point at except for him. So, Mikey, like you said, for him to sit up there and make all these excuses and then clearly blame the team and then try to backtrack a little bit, it's like there's no one to be angry about than yourself, because you're the one who can't finish games, dude. That's what a head coach does, and that's certainly what a head coach who's making as much money as Brian Kelly is supposed to do.
God. By the way, you got to think he had Jane Daniels, a top 3 quarterback in all of college football last year, won the Heisman. I mean, and you had a star like Malik Neighbors. To have players like that and to not even, like they really were irrelevant.
Lost 4 games. The defense, LSU used to be one of those teams like people feared playing LSU, not so much because of the offense used to be, back in the days of, Leonard Fournette.
Burrow, I mean, they were fucking good.
Yeah, but I'm talking prior to that. I'm talking like Leonard Fournette days when they would just pound you on the ground. You knew what you were getting against LSU. Trenches, an elite defense, and they were going to just pound the rock down your mouth. You remember some of those games against Alabama where it was like 10-7 or 17? They have lost that identity completely, LSU. No discipline on the defensive side of the football. No defense to really be heard of. They made a couple plays, but this is not the LSU that LSU fans are used to. And I'm sure they're begging for the days, Joe, of Burrow and of Eddie O. I'm sure they miss Ogeron at this point, and they ran that guy out of town, and rightfully so, maybe in some respects. But man, oh man, I would rather have Eddie Ogeron as my coach than Brian Kelly 7 days out of 7. I'd rather have Eddie O.
Well, there's Brian a part Kelly. That Eddie brought every single game, like he wore his heart on his sleeve, the passion that he had. You don't get that. Brian Kelly, like you said earlier, he's got like that blank stare on his face, like he doesn't know where he is.
I agree.
Somebody just threw him on the sidelines. He's trying to figure out what's going on.
I agree.
Yeah, that meme that's going around of him, that's awesome.
Yeah. Every opener the last 3 years, it's just the same face. It's like, I couldn't agree more, Joe. He's oh God, I can't even. It makes me sick.
Yeah, you're talking about back in the days of the Honey Badger, though. That's
yes,
the team.
I'm talking. Yeah, those LSU defenses take like all those D-backs that they put out when they were DBU, and I mean, even on the defensive line, they always had like a stud edge rusher and linebackers that flew. They were a team that you were just like they would scare you to play them because they were so nasty on that side of the ball and just. Talking after every play and jawing at everybody and doing fake guns, like that doesn't make you good. And they're not good. They're not a good team. They're an okay team, LSU, at best.
So do you, after watching last night, do you give USC any credit, or is
absolutely? I give USC credit. I thought the quarterback looked really good. I thought Moss looked good. I thought the defense was improved. Like I said, it certainly was improved from last year. They made some plays when they had to make some plays, and they have that kid Branch, number 1, you get him in space. And I think it's number 4, the kid who scored the last touchdown run for USC. You get some of these USC guys in space. They have receivers who are 6'6". They have talent. USC. They're
going through a
tough
transition, move into the Big Ten.
Yeah,
losing a player like Caleb Williams. I mean, that's a lot to overcome. So I would
win
agree
for
with
USC.
you. That's a huge win for them and for their playoff chances. Right out of the gates. Now I will say though, Mikey, like a team like LSU losing this week 1, I think the committee will have more leniency because USC has that big name prowess to it that they could still bounce back as opposed to a team like Florida State.
Yeah, listen, unless the wheels completely fall off USC and they end up unranked at the end of the year, which with the talent they have, I'd find that hard to believe. Their schedule is not like a murderer's row schedule, but you win a top 25 game week 1. I don't think if LSU turns it around and somehow they go on a run, they won't be penalized for this. Again, there's so much more grace now because there's 12 teams instead of 4 that, even when it was 4, they always said lose early. If you're going to lose the game early in the season and then build your resume back up and go on your run. So LSU is not out of it. Don't get me wrong. I just really did not see much of an improvement from last season on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, a little bit, sure. But again, you got to look at who you're playing against. That's a new offense and a kid who hasn't been out there with those guys either. And you still gave up points when you had to get stops, you really couldn't. And that's concerning.
Yep, definitely concerning. Gentlemen, we're a little short on time today, so we're going to wrap up college football there and head over to some NFL picks. We're back with making some picks. We probably won't make every single game, but we'll do the big ones. And it all starts on Thursday night. This Thursday, Ravens heading to Chiefs. Spread is -3 for the Chiefs. Over under 46.5.
Yeah, listen again. I'll give picks, but make no mistake about it. This is not any kind of an official. I would not.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, but I think it's a 3-point spread. It's the defending Super Bowl champions at home. Yes, the Ravens are going to be looking for revenge. There's no question about that. I just would not bet against the Chiefs at home in this spot. I know what happened with the Lions last year. I get that. I think this Chiefs team is better than the Chiefs team last year. So not a game I would want to play the line on, but if I did and I had to pick it, I would pick the Chiefs. I think it's just one of those games where it's not something that should be overthought too much. Take the home team, the defending Super Bowl champs, the best quarterback on the planet. And just, if you lose, you lose. But I'd rather lose on that than losing with Baltimore and seeing the Chiefs win that game and be like, why the fuck did I bet against the Chiefs at home opening week? You know what I mean? I just would feel better about the loss.
All right, Joey D.
I agree with what you're saying, Mikey, but I'm going to actually go with the Ravens. And to be honest, this is a game I probably will stay away from. I would probably, if I bet it, I would bet the over or the under or first half or something like that. But this is a tough game. I just think the Ravens, you're going to see a lot of from the Ravens this first week. You're going to know a lot about what you need to know for them moving forward for the rest of the year. I think they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to hand the rock to Derrick Henry a ton. I would at least try to dominate the time of possession, keep the ball out of Mahomes' hand as much as possible, and just ground and pound. This is a team that had the best rushing in the NFL last year. Now you bring in a guy like Derrick Henry who can tote the rock like crazy. I think that's going to be the recipe. I think the Chiefs win, but I do think that the Ravens can cover this game. So I would take the Ravens +3 in this spot here.
Boy, I'm torn between both of you guys' arguments. I do think that with like what Mikey said, I think if I end up betting on the Ravens and then I have to watch the Chiefs win on Thursday night, I'm just going to be fucking kicking myself. But that being said, I really agree with what Joe just said. I think they're
the Ravens.
I like the Ravens a lot too.
They're a good team, man.
I like them a lot.
They start hot too. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens +3. Yeah. Derrick Henry, I think the Derrick Henry thing is going to be huge. But
I'm
the
big
Chiefs
on
are a
the
better
Ravens.
team this year.
I just don't think you're going to get the Ravens at plus money like this in too many slots. I think they're going to be favorites. The Chiefs are a team that, continuously people just take them because they're chalk. Like, the people of the world just say that the Chiefs are the Super Bowl, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, they're great. But the Ravens are a very good team. And by the way, I think John Harbaugh is a great coach. And I think that they can come up big in this slot. And I think they can cover. I don't know if they can win, but I definitely think they can cover the spread.
Yeah, the Ravens like to start hot, like I said, and you know who doesn't? And I had to watch it a million times in Philly. Is Andy Reid never has these teams ready. Maybe not in the first half, at least. Maybe they'll come back in the second half as the
So
Chiefs
who's your
often
pick,
do.
Tick?
I'm
Who
going
are
with
you
the
taking?
Ravens +3. I'm going
Okay.
Ravens +3. It is in Kansas City though, which is frightening, but is what it is. I'm going Ravens +3. Next we have Friday night's game. Joey D, we're in Sao Paulo here.
My.
Packers are playing the Eagles. It's a home game for the Eagles in Brazil, so that's wonderful. That's excellent. Yeah, Philly's favored by 2.5, over under 48.5. Who do you guys like?
Yeah, listen, this game is another game. Stay away from it, in my opinion, because these two teams are two of the teams I'm bigger on this season. Future bet wise, very big on both of them. I'm bullish on both. I think they're both really good. I think the Eagles, the whole key with the Eagles this year will be, does Nick Sirianni just butt out a little bit and let Jalen Hurts take control of the team and just not overcoach this team? And can the defense, the back end, hold up? A lot of new faces there. Ticket will tell you, new draft picks at the corner spots. That being said, you know, I would look at the total here more, Tick. If I had to make a pick here, I like under 48.5. I do. I think this is the kind of game that you'll see. You know, everybody wants to talk Jordan Love, big contract, all that money, the new wideouts. Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
they're
he's
going to
gone
try
under the radar.
It is. It's like nobody even remembers this guy's there.
He's unbelievable too.
Now there's nobody breathing down his neck. AJ Dillon's out for the year on the season-ending IR. The Eagles got Saquon Barkley. The Eagles are going to want to run the ball. Yes, they have toys that they're going to throw the ball to also, but I think both teams are going to look to set up play action. I think the clock's going to melt pretty quickly in this game. My play would be the under on 48.5 total here.
All right, Joey D.
I'm, for the sake of picking a side, and by the way, I do like the Packers a lot this year. I think they're going to be a very good team. I think they're going to be a playoff team and potentially division winner. But I just think the Eagles are a good team, man. I think the Eagles are part of the cream of the crop, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up your ass, Tick. I really do. I think Hurts is coming off. He's healthy. You know, they hopefully there's no drama with AJ Brown. They're past all that shit. They come out, and I think they're going to play very good football. And I think they're going to run the rock a lot. And the Packers defense to me is the one question mark that I have of this team moving into the new year, where can they get stops against elite offenses? Can they get stops against a top quarterback and a top rushing unit? Their rushing defense last year was not good. And I think, to Mikey's point, with Saquon now, and you got Jalen Hurts, and you got all these things, they're going to run the ball a ton. And then I'm worried that what will stem from that will be some big play action passes downfield to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I just think the Eagles are poised here for a win. And I would take them, even as a Packers fan. I hope I'm wrong with this pick, but I would take them to cover -2.5. I think I think they're going to cover that pretty easily, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm high on the Eagles this year too. I know people know that I always rag on them and all that. I'm very harsh on them because I love them, and I do like them to have a good season. I think it's going to be hopefully a Super Bowl year. But that being said, I do look for us early in this season to pick up where we left off at the end of last season. And I think they're just going to come out slow. There are a lot of new faces. I think it will take time to gel. And you never know how Sirianni's going to be. So I like the Packers in this game. I like them a lot. I'm going to take them plus the 2.5 points.
Do you like them money line or just the plus points?
I like a money line too. Sure. Fuck it.
Wow.
I'm gonna say this. A key to this game will be, can the Eagles get to Jordan Love late in this game? Will the Eagles be able to get to him quickly late in this game when I feel like the Packers are going to have to play in a very tight game? They're going to be looking to throw the ball. And if that kid has time in the pocket, he is fucking lethal. He's lethal. I saw it with my own eyes. I hate admitting it because this team just fucking has a horseshoe up their ass with quarterbacks. They always have. They always will, I guess. The Eagles have to get home to him and get home early enough late in this game. And if that doesn't happen,
Watching him in the preseason, he didn't play much, but that one series he played, he was throwing the ball effortlessly. Like he threw that 65. I mean, that one ball downfield, it looked like a Rodgers-esque. He just flicked his wrist and the ball just, I mean, it was a perfect spiral downfield, which is I hope that that's something that we continue to see. But I agree, Mikey. I want to see him pick up where he left off last year. And if he does, man, it could be
Eagles got to get home. Eagles got to get home. His release is way too quick. He's too fast. So they have to figure out what they're going to do, whether they're disguising blitz coverages and they're staying in a soft zone underneath, and then they're going, safety highs up top, and somebody's playing like a robber position, and they're trying to just get him to make that decision really quick. And then somebody's going to be in there to make the takeaway or the turnover, because again, you leave him in the pocket with too much time, he's going to fucking slice you and dice you. That's his game. So that's going to be the key for this game for me. Eagles pass rush late.
Hey, what better place to get home than in Sao Paulo, Brazil? Yeah, we're in the right spot. Then moving on to Sunday here. We're going to kick it off with the Rams and the Lions. They're in Detroit. Classic Stafford Detroit game, man. Love watching these. Love watching good old Stafford toss the rock around Detroit. Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite, over under 50.5. Who do you guys like?
Yeah, I like the Lions. I understand Lions fans are very excited. It's hard for me to believe in Jared Goff all the way to win a Super Bowl. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about a home game, Sunday night, first week of the year. The crowd's going to be fucking insane.
They're going to go nuts.
It's going to be insane. Is Jahmyr Gibbs 100% healthy? I think that's a big deal. Even if he's not, okay, David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy there. David Montgomery, perfect complimentary back, taking nothing away from him. The Thunder to Gibbs' Lightning.
Last year.
But again, I'm going to say Detroit minus the 3.5. I'm going to take Detroit minus the 3.5. The Rams, to me, again, it's just like, I just, eventually the wheels are going to fall off Matty Stafford, Tick. Eventually the wheels are going to, and I love him. He's a big dog. I love him. I just don't love him as much as Tick loves him. I
don't think you do love him, by the way.
I do. Here's the thing, Tick, he's been playing in the league, it feels like, for 100 years. Eventually, it's just, I just can't see him sustaining the kind of success he's had. I could be totally wrong. We had this last year in the playoffs when Stafford came back to Detroit, and the game started off gangbusters, and the over, if you recall, never came in, and it was cruising, and the game came to a complete halt. Lions escaped with the win. So, they gave him a very good football game last year. I think now, week one, that crowd, I just think that Detroit is going to take care of business. Man.
Detroit has a lot of playmakers. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Laporta as tight end, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery. And even on the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson's gonna cause havoc in
they gotta stop the run. They gotta stop the run.
Well, Kyren Williams is a really good back. But I agree with you, Mikey. I think the momentum will be on the Lions side. I'm going to go ahead and take the Lions at minus 3.5 here. But I do think it's going to be a close game right up until probably midway through the fourth quarter. I think the Lions will pull away.
Yeah. I mean, normally a 3.5 situation, I'd even say if you really are going to bet this game, I would say buy the hook. I wouldn't here. I would let it roll. I would let it roll. I think Detroit could win this game by a touchdown. I think they could win this game like a 28-21 or, a 27-20 game or, something along those lines.
Sure. But or it could be a shootout. Those Rams.
Sure do love
them. I know that. Listen,
do.
Puka and Cooper Kupp back now.
Fun squad.
Yeah.
Fun gang.
Puka, Nakua.
That being said, I'm no fool. I like the Lions this year. I Lord knows I don't trust Jared Goff. Like Mikey said, I do think that he's going to get the job done enough to have a good year, probably back in the playoffs, but I don't know if they're Super Bowl ready. But yeah, I think they're good enough to beat a team like the Rams while they're at home, especially the beginning of the year. I think they're gonna start hot this year. So I'm going Detroit minus 3.5. Moving on here. Let's go to Mikey's Bears. 1:00 game. Titans are headed to Chicago. Chicago's favored by 4 points, over under 45.5. Who do you guys like?
Titans +4.
Joey D, got your hand up?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I think if the Bears
Wow.
win this game, actually the line now per DraftKings Sportsbook is 2 points. So that tells you all you need.
2
to know.
points.
Now it's 2 points.
It's
Oh.
2
Sportsbook.
now?
The ESPN spread is 4.
So
I'm taking
means
this as my game of the week.
People,
Wow.
no. I'm looking at the next week. 3.5. I'm sorry. No. I'm looking at the next week.
Oh,
Tick, you
at
got me
2.
all fucked up here.
At 2
What? I just
points.
read what I got.
It's 4. Yeah,
Four.
It's 4.
At
I
2
got you
points.
fucked
At
up.
2 points, I was going to take the Bears as my lock.
With a bullet. Sure.
I'm taking Tennessee with the 4 points. I'm going to tell you why. As nice as the preseason was, and it was a historically nice preseason for the Bears, it was. And Caleb, he's going to have growing pains. Tennessee defense is okay. It's just, I'm not confident in the Bears covering spreads over a field goal yet. I need to see them win games convincingly before I'm going to say that the Bears are an over field goal favorite covering team. And I'm not there yet. So I think if the Bears win, I think it'll be a field goal. So give me the Titans plus the 4.
I gotta go Bears, man. Bears at home. I know, Mikey, it's your team, and you're not trying to get too excited.
I got to see it, dog.
The Titans featuring Will Levis. I mean, there's no Hopkins playing.
A lot of people think he's a sleeper this year, Will Levis.
Mikey, I'm not. Nothing about the Titans drives fear into my heart. Nothing about the Tennessee Titans. And with all due respect to anybody who's a Titans fan, this year, the Tennessee Titans do not strike fear into my heart. I think that the Bears are so much better than the Tennessee Titans playing at home. The fans, if you think the fans in Detroit are going to be jacked up, the fans at Soldier Field are going to be going nuts. First game of the season.
Fans in my basement will be going crazy too.
I'm telling you, man.
I have
this
all
is
my
Bears.
brothers coming over, my dad. But I know how this works, man. I
really hope for your
just
sake
know how this
that
works.
they don't lay an egg. I really do.
God, yeah.
Because that would be devastating, because I know vibes and hopes have never been higher, but I'm going to go with what I've seen. Caleb Williams has looked good in the preseason. The team looks good. They have all the pieces. Everyone's healthy. This is the time to take the Bears, I think, until they prove to me otherwise. I'm going to take the Bears this week at +4, +3.5, whatever it is.
No, minus.
No, it's minus 4.
I mean, -4, -3.5. I think they're going to win this game by a touchdown.
Okay. All right. I hope you're right, man. I really do.
What are we talking about here, man? This is
Will
crazy. This
Levis,
feels nuts.
I
This
know,
feels crazy.
I know.
This is a game you guys should win.
I think handily.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm not saying that they
I'm not trying
win.
to pump your tires either. I'm just calling it how I see it.
I could see this being more of a game than it should be, and I could see it ending in a field goal difference one way or the other. That's just how I feel as though it's going to go.
What makes you worried about that? Is the weather bad? Is there some kind of
just
I think he's just hedging happiness here. He can't lay
I
the wood down.
I actually appreciate the play, because when you're a big fan of a team that has let you down for so long, it's very hard to allow the excitement and the anticipation of a year that's supposed to be different to really change your demeanor, your insight, and your outlook. So, you know what, Mikey, I agree with downplaying it, but the Bears are going to win this game handily.
I think so too.
Listen, from your lips to God's ears, Joe. I hope so. I feel like this is the problem. I feel like everyone is dismissing Tennessee, and Tennessee has some dogs on that defense, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
We're talking about last year, Vrabel lost control of that team. Like, they didn't look good at all.
Here's a game I would never, ever bet. Tell you that. Just because, I mean, people may like it from their vantage point. I just hate it every which way. So.
Yeah, the tune on the
Bears,
the tune on the Titans from last year to this year is completely different. We're talking about how Will Levis is possibly
and they lost their best
year.
offensive player.
And
they lost Derrick Henry.
They got Calvin Ridley.
Everything.
Oh, Calvin Ridley. That guy was like a ghost halfway through the season. You didn't know what guy you were going to get, whether he's an all-star or if he was a practice squad player.
They got Tony Pollard.
All right, now he's just being crazy. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I do like Tony Pollard to have a bounce-back season. I do. I have him on my fantasy.
So are you making this your game of the week, Joe?
No, I'm not.
If you don't, I will. It's my game of the week.
Wow, the
fuck
tick.
Fuck me.
The tick. with the game of the week. I think it's a good play.
We should not be allowed to game of the week. The Packers, the Bears.
But he's not doing it.
No, Tick.
I'm not trying to
game of the
fuck
week.
you.
No, you should take it.
This is your game of the week. It's your game of the week. Go
also,
ahead.
Mikey, last year was listen, that was different for me last year, okay? Just like the Bears, I'm going to be much improved.
You're a new man.
Year.
You're a new man.
I'm a new man with these game of the week picks, man. Come on.
You're an even slate. Take your even.
I'm even right now. Yeah, it's exactly right. So I'm taking the Bears minus the 4.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Mikey. It's just the best looking thing on here for me.
It is an enticing. It's an enticing looking game.
Oh, it sure is, man. All right, moving on here. Let's head to. We'll do just a couple more because we are running out of time here. The Jaguars are heading to Miami. Miami is favored by 3.5 points, over under 49.5. What you guys like?
3.5.
3.5.
I'm gonna take the Jaguars to cover here, man. And this is more so that I think every single person and their mother is going to hammer the Miami Dolphins. Oh, they're electric. You know, they re-signed their coach McDaniels again to they're going to come out firing with Tyreek and Tua and Waddle and all these guys. Jacksonville is a sneaky good team this year. And I think they're going to play very, very I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think they're going to play gritty football. And I actually like Jacksonville in this play, not so much because I'm a Jaguars aficionado, but because I actually think that so many people are going to take the Dolphins that I actually like 3.5. I could see them losing by a field goal here quite easily. And kind of, I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that take. I'm high on Jacksonville this year. In fact, a lot of people are chalking up the Texans to just waltz through that division. And, rightfully so. CJ Stroud, historical year, defense much improved. Head coach comes over there from San Francisco, makes that defense a formidable unit. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, now Steph Diggs. The Jaguars, they paid Trevor Lawrence all this money. Doug Peterson, I just think it's put up or shut up time for Jacksonville, and especially for Trevor Lawrence. And he has the tools to do it. It's just a matter of will he or will he not? And in this spot, I agree with Joe, but my play in this game would be over 49.5. I like the over in this game. I think this will be a back and forth. You're talking about teams with weapons and with quarterbacks who like to throw the ball, head coaches who know how to get the ball down the field for their offenses. And, I'm not sold. Miami's defense should be improved this year, but Chubb is still going to be out for a little bit. Give me the over in this game at 49.5. But if I was going sidewise, I lean with Joe towards Jacksonville, but my play would be over 49.5.
All right, I'm going to go with Jacksonville as well. I'm shocked that Joe's riding with Trevor. He normally knocks him, but I think it could be a big year for him. I mean, it has to be, or else
Joe likes that hook, and I don't blame him. I think the hook stands out in this game.
If it was a 3 or Miami 2.5, I'd go Miami, but the 3.5, and I could even see that game closer to game time going to 4. I think that's enough that it would have me leaning towards Jacksonville. Again, a game I probably would stay away from. There's some games that you don't know what you're going to get. And it's like, I would rather bet a game like the Bears, Mikey, no offense, than bet a game like this where I just don't know what I'm getting.
Betting spreads in the NFL is the most difficult thing.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's the reason why we have some success in the picks that I do in the NFL is because we don't typically do game spread straight up. We do props, we do quarters, we do totals.
Because those lines, you do halves a lot.
They're less scrutinized than the game line because every book on the planet, whether it's a street book or a corporate book, is scrutinizing that line. And that's the line that's being handicapped by the biggest experts in the field. That's why it's difficult to be able to nail those lines. So like Joe said, this is a game that perhaps you'd want to stay away from. But Joe, I got to be honest, I'd be more comfortable betting this line than I would be that Eagles line or that.
I don't think I'm going to bet that game either.
Yeah. And the Chiefs line. I'd be more comfortable betting Jaguars plus 3.5 than the Chiefs game or the Eagles game, the Thursday or the Friday night. I have more confidence in the Jags. Remember, climate, not an issue, right? Because they both play in Florida. A lot of times Miami smokes these teams at home because they come into this humid, they're not used to that. Jacksonville is. So that's not going to be an advantage. I'm comfortable with that play, Joe. I am.
All right. I'm rocking with Jacksonville as
By
well.
the way, first quarter over. Oh my.
Oh,
Now
God.
that's juicy.
Ah.
Now that's juicy. 9.5, dog. 9.5.
You like that play? There you go.
That's probably a play this week. That's probably a play.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot, Tick. I like that a lot.
All right. Let's move on to Joey D's favorite team that isn't the Packers. We're going to the Steelers, going to Atlanta. Okay. Atlanta -3 over under 42.5. Yes, Joseph.
We know what Joe's
It's
about
my
to say.
game of the week.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Atlanta is going to smoke them. And I'm telling you right now, I'm willing to die on this hill this week and this week only. I have Cousins as my fantasy quarterback. I have Pitt as my fantasy tight end. I think this is Bijan Robinson. This is a new Atlanta team. I think you got a lot of people who are going to ride the Steelers because they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you look at the Steelers preseason, the back and forth, they didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of distractions. I think Atlanta wins by a touchdown here. And to give it by 3 points, I think this is my game of the week. I'm taking Atlanta -3. Now, if they screw me, it'll be the last time I take them probably for a while.
No.
But I'm telling you, I think Cousins is, I got to see what I see from him, but I think he's going to be back and healthy. If you give Cousins healthy time in the pocket with some of these playmakers, I understand TJ Watt is on the other side of the ball. I get that. But I just think this Atlanta team is going to be frisky this year. This is my play of the week. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons -3.
If the Atlanta Falcons offensive line can hold up in this game, Atlanta should win this game by a touchdown at minimum, in my opinion.
Pittsburgh's not that good, man.
Much maligned defense in Atlanta. They get Judon before the trade deadline or right at the trade deadline, bolsters the pass rush. They got arguably the two best safeties in football playing for their team. Again, an acquisition late. They're going to bracket the only receiver that Pittsburgh has, George Pickens. He's the only pass catcher they have. They're going to bracket coverage George Pickens. They don't have you could make an argument they have the worst quarterback room or one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL right now. They both look terrible. Neither of them threw for a touchdown in the preseason.
They looked awful.
They didn't score. That's a tough look, man. It's a tough look. Atlanta at home in that dome, going to be out of control loud because they're going to get all their toys lined up. Kirk Cousins there and Kyle Pitts there and Bijan and Drake London and all these guys there. Atlanta should win that game, but can their offensive line hold up against that Pittsburgh front? Because I think Atlanta will be fine defensively defending Pittsburgh. It's just a matter of, can the Atlanta O-line hold up against the Pittsburgh pass rush? If they do, I think Joe's right. I think that is a lock type of play.
By the way, Darnell Mooney could be a sneaky guy to, this year. And maybe some touchdown props. He's going to be kind of left for dead. No one's going to think about him. But you could put a guy who can pass in the pocket like Cousins and makes everyone around him better. And I'm not here to sing the praise. I've trashed Cousins in the past.
Yes, you have.
But in the season, Kirk Cousins has been very, very good for the last several years.
Yes,
very good statistically. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna take the Falcons as well, more so because what feels like 30 years ago, I was never higher on a guy coming out of a school, which was Wisconsin. I was a massive Russell fan, and I bought his jersey. I had a
Mr.
Seahawks.
Unlimited.
It's the only non-Eagles jersey I've ever had. That's how much of a fan I was. I loved this guy.
Tick.
And now he wasn't then out of Wisconsin.
No, but now he is.
Yeah, he got real clownish,
that's
man.
The point.
When he went to Denver,
I've never been more down on somebody I used to be so high on. I mean, I don't trust this guy as far as I can throw. So give me the Falcons. I mean, anyone the Steelers are playing this year, I'm probably going to bet against them, but give me the Falcons -3. We'll do one more game just because it's a massive game. There's a few more here, but this is probably the biggest one left on the board. Monday Night Football.
Huge game.
New York Jets heading to San Francisco.
Wow.
San Francisco favored by 3.5, over under 43.5. What do you guys like?
Oh man, this
tough. Listen, I am going all in once again on the Jets this year. I'm going because I listen to it every day. I hear it every day going to work. I listen to WFAN, New York Sports Radio, every day going to work. This is Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers. This is it. This is Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets. This is it. You have a stud backfield with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, the rookie. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Mike Williams. You have a great tight end. You have the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, who coming off of still MVP level seasons. Yes, we know about the Achilles. Is there going to be any rust? Possibly. I'm sure there will be. You have an elite defense. This is it. This is it for them. On the other side of the ball, I'm down on San Francisco this year. I'm down on San Fran a little bit this year. They resolved the thing with Brandon Ayuk, which is good, because they needed to get that sorted out. Trent Williams, I don't know what's going on with his contract still. I think they're getting up there. I just think San Francisco's schedule is brutal this year in terms of rest. They have the worst net rest advantage in the league by like a historical margin. But this is week 1. They are at home. I understand that. But I'm still going to take the New York Jets. I'm going to take the New York Jets plus 3.5.
Rodgers,
I would even consider doing money line. Yes, he has. He has struggled with the Niners. He has, and the Niners could wipe the floor with them, and I could be totally wrong. But I'm not backing off the Jets this year. I'm not. I'm going full steam ahead right out of the gates. Jets plus 3.5. That's what I want to take.
The Jets defense is formidable, man. Remember last year playing against the Bills week 1. Rodgers goes down. You think there's absolutely no chance that the Jets could even cover. They end up winning the game. They have pieces in place on the defensive side of the ball to stay and hang in with anyone. The problem is they haven't had anyone on offense because they had fucking BYU, fucking what's his name?
Mormon Mahomes, Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
Zach
my
Wilson.
God. Yeah, the mother hunter. This guy was not the answer. Now you replace that with the guy.
Not to be
Like
confused
that,
with the MILF hunter. Yes.
The MILF hunter.
Yes.
But my point is,
The mother
I do
hunter.
think
That's
Aaron
so good.
Rodgers can take this offensive side of the ball to a next level.
That's correct.
And until you don't see him do it or get hurt again, you got to kind of think that he has what it takes. He's done it for how long? And I don't think he's going to be fazed by the injury. It happened so long ago that he has had so much time. They were even talking about he could have potentially come back and played last year.
Yep.
So he's had all this offseason. He's probably, ayahuasca bound, all the stuff he's done. He's probably feeling good coming into week 1. I'm going to go with Mikey. I'm going to take the Jets here. I think that the Jets, it is, as you said, time to put up or shut up, and they have pieces in place to put up. And I think, again, this is going to be chalk city. Everybody's going to be betting the Niners Monday night at home. And I like that hook there, Michael, with that half point. I'll take the Jets.
Yeah, I'm rocking with the Jets again too. I mean, for God's sake, I drafted Aaron Rodgers. I gotta trust
Dick,
that
I have
Achilles,
Rodgers in my other league, so I'll be rooting for him with you.
So we're all on the Jets and we're all on Atlanta. Those are the 2 games we were consensus across the board, right?
Correct.
And Mikey, we need your game of the week. We still don't have a game of the
No,
week.
my game of the week is the under in that in the Packers Eagles game.
Oh, is that your game of the week?
I think that'll go under 48.5. I do.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Bob's gonna love to hear that.
I think both teams. Again, everyone's focused on Jordan Love and all the weapons for Philly, but the weapons lie in the trenches. I think for both these teams, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, 2 teams that I think are going to want to establish running the ball. The window dressing and the passing is all well and good, but everything should be built and based off of running the football. And you got 2 great running backs. And I just could see, like, if that goes a little bit back and forth and they're trying to do that in the first quarter and you get a very low first quarter total, you should cruise in with that under. So that would be my play of the week, is under 48.5 Eagles Packers. If it moves down to 47, 46, it might be another conversation, but at 48.5, I like it.
Beautiful. There we go. We got a couple sweeps on the board. We've got our games of the week. Mike, I know you got to run, but Joe, do you want to hang out and do just like 10 minutes worth of questions? Just like we'll just 2 or 3.
Yeah, I have no.
I'm good, Tick, for like
you're
five,
good
for like 5-10.
Tick,
Yep.
but
Yep.
before we go on the questions, Mike,
Sure.
you want to give maybe like who you like coming out of the NFC, who you like coming out of the AFC, and who you like win the Super Bowl?
Sure.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
I
have
can
one,
lead the
but
charge.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I think out of the AFC, you're going to look at a Ravens team that is going to be really nipping at the heels of like the Chiefs this year. I think that they should have potentially won the AFC last year, and they didn't, and it was a letdown. But I think this is the year that they actually do. I definitely think that they do. Give me Ravens to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I know that's taking a lot of chalk, but that's what I'm going to go with. And then on the other side of the ball, on the NFC, I'm going to take the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles coming out of the NFC. I know, Tick, you're not happy with that. I'm saying
That's fine.
But I just think that they're too good a team to not be there. Their window is right here. They got a major piece in Saquon Barkley. I think that is going to be tremendously good for them and is going to be the difference this year, just to take some pressure off of Hurts. And I think that they're going to be playing against. Give me the Lions up there again. I think the Lions are a team that could be there again. And then in the Super Bowl, I got the Ravens winning the Super Bowl this year. Give me the Ravens to win the Super Bowl over the Chiefs.
What?
No, over the Eagles.
Oh, over the Eagles.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Mikey?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give my two longest shot futures that I have because I don't want to get into too much. Packers, my longest shot NFC champion, plus 750. I think there's value in that. If they could play defense, there's a lot of value in that, in my opinion. And then on the flip side, listen, I talked about them ad nauseum just before. It's the New York Jets. They're my long shot, plus 1,000 to win. Plus 1,900 to win the Super Bowl. Again, I do feel like this is an all-in year for the New York Jets. I feel like Aaron's going to play that way. It's just a matter of, will it translate on the field? And we know the AFC is loaded with talented quarterbacks and talented teams, and it's going to be a difficult journey to get there. But those are my two teams, Packers and Jets.
Wow.
An all green Super Bowl this year.
Could you imagine that? Me versus Bob in the Super Bowl final.
Yeah.
That would be Packers against Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, that would be wild.
God, that would be it's not going to happen, but it would be wild.
Yeah, it would be wild.
Could absolutely happen.
It absolutely could.
Anything could happen in the NFL, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go, for the AFC, I'll go Jets playing the Chiefs, and give me the Chiefs there. I think this Chiefs team's better. I think they're better than they were last year, man.
I agree.
NFC, give me the Eagles playing who did I just have? Where did it go? I think it might be the Packers, man. Yeah, I think it might be the Packers. And I think the Eagles can do it. I think they can get there. I think it'll be the Eagles Chiefs again in the Super Bowl. And again, I think Mahomes is going to beat them. I think the Chiefs are going to win.
You think the Chiefs are going to three-peat?
I do. I sure do.
I hope you're wrong, Tick.
What's worse about the team? I don't,
Nothing. They're better.
I agree.
Xavier Worthy, dude. That guy's good.
Listen, I'd love to see the Jets win. No one would love to see Aaron Rodgers hoisting the Heisman heisting the trophy.
Lombardi. Yeah.
And I'm at home cheering him on with my Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey on.
Wow.
No one wants to see that more than me.
You don't want more than the Eagles? No. Come on.
Well, no, but if they have to lose, I mean, if it can't be the Eagles,
you and I will ride and die on that Aaron Rodgers train this year because I have him as my second quarterback in my other league.
Yep.
I need him. I need him so bad.
Desperately.
I took a flyer on him, and I really hope he comes through for me.
Who's your first quarterback? Who's the number one guy?
Mahomes.
Yeah, it's a good one too if it works out. Good one too.
It could be a 1-1.
Yeah, could be a 1-1. That's what I'm hoping out of Hurts and Rodgers. All right, let's move into some questions here. Mike, you still got time? You want to field one with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Viewer questions of the week. We got Dylan Rich. He wants to know, fuck, marry, kill, Vegas, New York City, Los Angeles.
Oh, God, bro.
I'll go first. I'm gonna kill New York. I'm sorry. Just because it's just too much, man. The last couple times I go there, like if you're living in the city, as great as it is and everything you have there, like food wise and options wise, it's just too much. It's so dirty, and just like the last couple times going there, I love visiting. I love visiting New York, but to live there would be a lot. So I'll kill New York. I'll fuck with Vegas, and I'll marry LA just because of the weather too. You got sunshine year round. You're not going out. It's not frigid cold. It's not, it's the weather's never hot or like to the point where it's like unbearable. Like the weather in LA is just tremendous. So for golf and for other purposes, give me LA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna F Vegas, and then I'm gonna marry New York though, and then I'm gonna kill LA. I'll marry New York because again, I don't disagree with what Joe said about New York. Living in the city itself, I could never ever do that. But living 20 minutes outside of it is certainly a good experience. It's a lot different of an experience. So yeah, I could never in good conscience ever. I would be a total fraud, loser, bum if I killed New York and married Los Angeles. That could never ever happen.
I agree. I understand.
So yes, I will marry New York. I'll F Vegas, and then I'll kill LA.
Well, I lived there long enough, Mikey, that you could, yeah. I mean, LA is, I think I gotta kill it, to be honest.
Yeah, that a boy.
I just don't.
It's gone downhill.
Way downhill.
Boy,
when we first moved there in 2000, when I moved there in 2016, it was way better.
Yeah, I got there in 2013. I loved it, man. I loved it for great. I loved it for 6 years, 2013 to 2019.
It was
2020,
great.
Everything else went to shit. So I'll kill LA. I'll fuck Vegas, and I'll marry New York City. I agree. I couldn't live there, but I do fucking love the place. Yeah. All right. Next one comes from Colin Sackett. This might be the question that gets Mikey out of the room here. How long is too long for a vacation? Like how long? Like when do you stop having fun on vacation? Is it a week? Is it 3 days? Is it 4 or 5 days?
Why would that get me out of the room?
I don't know. I thought maybe you'd be like, I got to get out of here. Like this is enough.
Oh no. I think it all depends on where you are, because if you're somewhere like if you're going to Europe, I mean, you're going to Italy or you're going to Spain or France or
3 weeks could go by fast.
Like you need like 10 days minimum just because of the fucking flights and like I think it all is relative to how long is the travel to get there. I mean, again, I think that's dependent. If you're talking about like listen, I'm going on vacation with my wife in November. We're gonna go to Chicago for just a weekend. I mean, all you need is a weekend. If you're going to do a 2-hour flight, that's all you need. But something like that, I mean, I would say just to ballpark it, I'd say the most ideal amount of nights in a stay, if you're not talking about some kind of extravagant international flight vacation, is 5 nights, 6 days, or 4 nights, 5 days. Right in that realm. To me, like 5 nights is like a perfect, it's not a week, 5 nights in and out. If 5 nights is good, you're settled. You can get settled in 5 nights. Anything shorter than that's a little tough with the turnaround, unless it's a short distance. But I would say 5 nights, 6 days.
As someone who's been living out of a suitcase for the latter part of a month and a bit, 3 weeks is the max that you can be anywhere without it feeling like it's just too long. I would agree that, like, though, if you're going on just like like I've been moving around like back and forth. If you're going on one trip, like to one destination, I agree with Mikey. I like the, like the 6 nights, 7 days kind of thing. So, you're 1 week, you're not that far removed out of what's going on in society and like the everyday, hustle and bustle. Although I don't really have hustle and bustle, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But I would say,
that's right.
I would say a week. A week is good. Plus, too, you got to remember too, how much are you spending? Some of these resorts or some of these things, you start dabbling in 2 weeks. I mean, that can get pricey, dog.
I could do a month away from everybody. I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody
but if
could
I'm
do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. It could get old for some people, just living by a lake with nothing there but yourself and just supplies. But but if it's like a Vegas, I've always said you can't do more than 2 days.
Oh, Vegas
in Vegas.
That's different.
To me, it's too much. So yeah, or New York City too. Maybe 3 days tops in New York City. But all right, we'll do one more and then we'll split. This one comes from Chase Wrote. Any player you wanted your favorite team to draft, but glad they didn't after you saw them play?
Reread that, Tick.
any player you wanted your favorite team, so the Packers or the Bears, to draft, but glad they didn't once you saw them play.
Shit, man.
Is this ever?
Yeah, I think but anytime you have a guy.
I have a guy.
All right.
He was a D tackle. He got drafted by Cleveland. I really wanted the Bears to get him, and he never panned out. He was just too fat. Shelton, Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton was from Washington. Did he play there? Washington, yeah. Played at Washington, one of those big Samoan boy nose tackles. I thought he would have been a perfect fit. He never panned out. He was I think the Browns took him. Where did the Browns take him? The 12th overall pick in the 2015 draft. They took Danny Shelton, and I really wanted him to be a Bear. He never worked out. So that's one of those that I'm glad we never dabbled with him. Although we've had plenty of draft fuck ups ourselves. So it's really neither here nor there, but that's a journeyman tick. That's
a real
Browns, Patriots, Lions, Giants, Chiefs. That's 5 teams in like
holy shit
6-7 years. So yeah.
Never made his way to the Bears though.
He won the Super Bowl twice, as sick as that is. How lucky
did he really?
That?
With
yeah,
him?
he won
it really?
Technically with the Chiefs. He's an off-season and practice squad guy, but technically he won those Super Bowls with the Chiefs.
Do those practice squad guys get a ring?
He gets a ring. Yeah,
he does get a ring.
He
wow,
does.
Good for
Isn't
him.
that crazy? Yeah, good
it
for him.
is.
That's wild.
Good for him.
Joey D, you got a guy?
I don't know. I was trying to think. I for years I wasn't really into college football that much, so it obviously impacted my ability to know who the Packers should draft or who they should take. I'd kind of just go with whatever the recommendation was from the experts, from the Mel Kipers of the world, right? But I didn't really have like a strong opinion on a player coming out of college because it's I'm sad about it now because I look back and I love college football so much now. But for years, growing up in Canada, I didn't follow college football that much. It really wasn't something I followed. So I don't really know if there was a player so much. I will say this. When the Packers had Brett Favre and we didn't go back to him after the NFC Championship when we lost to the Giants and we went to Aaron Rodgers, I was pissed beyond belief. I wanted to continue to go with Brett Favre. So that was a situation where it was on the other side where I wanted a guy who turned out to be not the right situation and I was wrong. So I'll do a flip side of that, but I don't really have one tick, to be honest, for this example of the question that's being asked.
Sure. I was really convinced that the Eagles should draft Justin Fields. And it's part of the reason I was really convinced that he was going to be the guy because we were coming off the heels of Carson Wentz and we hadn't totally committed to Jalen Hurts yet. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. I was convinced by the experts that this guy's going to come in and save this franchise and going to take us to where we need to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, well, Pittsburgh certainly found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest one that I can remember being like, I would tell anyone who was willing to listen that the Eagles' biggest mistake was not taking Justin Fields or like trading up. I think we would have needed to trade up, but that was an option at the time. But anyway, that's who I got. That's another episode of The Sportsman. Mikey V, Joey D, myself. Good episode, boys. Football's back, and we will see everyone next week.